Look at that little tuft of hair. I look like my daughter when she tries to put a top knot in. But yes, hello everyone. Welcome to week 3 of the London Landmarks 10k training plan. It's technically week 5 as part of the plan, but week 3 in terms of what I've carried out. If you haven't seen last week's episode, then you're more than welcome to check that out if you wish. You don't have to. It's entirely up to you. But respect if you're jumping in cold here to a random series midway. I appreciate that. But I hope you're well. Today is Monday, the 29th of June. The heat has came down quite significantly. Not too much though. Still get a bit of sun and a bit of heat, which is nice and tolerable. But compared to the absolute hellscape that was last week, it is much better and it is night and day, which I am eternally grateful for as a very pasty Scotsman who cannot tolerate the heat in any circumstance. But anyway, welcome. Let's get the week started, shall we? Let's kick it off. So here we are at the start of the week, and if you haven't seen last week and you're not going to check it out, that's absolutely fine. I respect your time. You have finite amount of time to watch stuff, so thank you for watching this. So I'm not going to bore you if you haven't seen it. But I only done one run out of last week for a number of reasons. One, again, the heat was a massive factor. Two, I had a bit of a sore hip / joint / leg that got better towards the end of the week. And then 3, because I hadn't ran properly or consistently over the past couple of weeks. I done my 9k on Saturday, and then I was quite tired on Sunday. And a bit of TMI, I appreciate, but my nipples are very sensitive. So when I do long runs and my running tops get very, very drenched and heavy with sweat, they really, really irritate them, and I never put any tape or coverings on, so that was really painful on this Sunday. It's better now, again, being Monday today, but at the time I thought I'm not putting my body through that. That's insane. Anyway, we're here, it is Monday, and I kind of touched upon it at the end of last week's video, but I've got 2 weeks left, and that's essentially 4 runs inclusive of the 10k, not this Sunday but the following Sunday. And I thought, rather than trying to squeeze in extra runs and trying to catch up on missed weeks and all this good stuff, I've just reset my Run It app, or my running plan, so all the weeks have went back to their default weeks, and I'll show you what I've got left for the remainder of the plan. So here we are, it says week 5, but again it's week 3 in terms of what I've actually done. So I've reset it, everything's kind of went back to its previous week and all that good stuff, and that's fine. Look how many things I've missed out, and admittedly, like I said, through my own hubris, I have been completely inefficient in terms of this plan. I still swear by the plan, and I still really like Run It as a platform and a service. I'm just terrible at keeping the efficiency and the actual, or keeping to the plan, which is fine. So I've reset from week 5, which is fine. And today, which may be moved to Wednesday. Maybe I should actually do the runs on the day that I set them out, but anyway, it might be Wednesday, it might be today. I've got a 9 kilometre hotspot long run, which is 5 kilometres at conversational pace, 1 kilometre at 5:35, which is quite speedy, and then back to 3 kilometres at a conversational pace. So that is the long run for the week. And then on Friday, I have got a tempo 2 kilometre for a total of 6. So I do 2 kilometre at conversational pace, no faster than 6:35. Then I do 2 kilometres at 5:40, 120 seconds walking rest, and then the remaining 2 kilometres back at conversational pace. So that's week 5. And then week 6, being the final week, I've got a race pace practice kilometre for 6.5, so not even a full 10k. And then Sunday is the 10 kilometre race. So that's kind of where we are in terms of the reset. Now, I mentioned at the start of the series, and sorry it's a bit dark in here, I'm keeping the blind shut for a number of reasons, but I mentioned at the start of this whole training plan that I wanted, it's only a 10k. 10k's are still hard to run, but again, compared to like the previous run and half marathons and all that good stuff, it's something that I know that I can do and it's going to be fine. My main goal for this was to bring it down from roughly about an hour to 55 minutes. I'm going to make peace with the fact now that it's probably not going to happen for a number of reasons. One, I never started the plan early enough. I missed 2 weeks at the beginning. 2, the remaining time that I've had in the plan, I've just not been very efficient in terms of actually doing the runs due to, again, my own roadblocks, but then again, external factors and everything else in between, that's fine. And then 3, I just don't have a ton of time between now and the actual run. So my main thing for this run now is just to have fun. I've never ran in central London before. I'm really looking forward to running on the roads and all that good stuff. Maybe I'll surprise myself on a day. I'm still going to train for it. I'm still going to do those 3 runs prior, and maybe another one if I can do a park run in between. And I'm going to fuel for it properly as well. I need to start fueling for my runs a little bit better because, I do this mad thing where I'm like, okay, I've got this plan, I need to move this run to Wednesday, then Wednesday comes and I think, right, I'm just going to do it. And I've not planned accordingly in terms of eating dinner before, training for it, or eating for it the morning of, all that sort of stuff as well. So I'm going to plan properly. And who knows, maybe on a day I'll surprise myself, and maybe even you. We'll never know. Well, we will know. We'll know in a couple of weeks. But yeah, that's kind of where my mindset's at for this run, and that's fine. I'm not upset by that. I think that's, realistically, it's kind of where I am at a level, but it just gives me an extra push and an extra bit of learning to actually do better moving forward. So again, this channel is all about my journey. Someone who doesn't have time and who has a manic, personal and social life and work life and all this good stuff. Someone is trying to learn how to run. And I do have lofty expectations for myself that I've not shared on this channel yet, which I am going to do after this run because I don't have any other runs planned. And I'll just kind of talk about where I want to be, or where I am and where I want to be and all that. But that's for another time. But yeah, if I can just get this run done and have some fun with it, that's going to be the main thing. Hopefully I'll get a nice medal for it and I can do all the other bits and pieces, put a nice social post out for the clout, and go from there. But yeah, that's the start of the week, everyone. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to actually getting stuff done, which is nice. This is a new angle. Is it fun? Is it good? I don't know. Things are a bit messy, but don't pay too much mind to there. Trial and error. If it works, you'll see more of this angle. If not, maybe not ever again. But I've learned. I feel like, I want to take running seriously, and this is a little bit of a hard truth that I learned myself over the past, weekend. I want to take running seriously, and then I put my all into things, and again, I done my first 1K, then I done my first 5K, then my first 10K back in September. I done my first half marathon back in April, which I'm super proud of. But then in between runs, I seem to completely fall off a cliff for a number of different reasons, whether it's because I'm too busy with other things, whether it's I'm trying to set, lofty expectations elsewhere because I've got so many things that I want to juggle, whether it's just I don't have time or the determination, maybe it's because I want to take a bit of a break after training, for a half marathon for so long and all that good stuff and anything else in between. But I think the majority of the stuff that I'm trying to do is lack of determination, lack of discipline, and then just excuses, if I'm being completely honest with you. Because again, this run is going to be fun and it's going to be good, but I should be able to breeze this no problem if I just continued with not necessarily the same level of strict training plan from the half marathon, but just continue to run once a week or do a park run every week before and starting this training plan a bit earlier. It could have been absolutely fine, and maybe I would have been even looking for a sub 50 10k. I don't really know, but it's things that I've kind of learned myself, and that's, there's other things in there that I'm not really happy with in terms of what I've done and what I haven't done. My weight, and I know not everything's about weight because there's all these other factors, but when I finished 75 hard back in March or whenever it was, I went from 104 kilometres to 84 kilometres, so I lost 20 kg in that time, which is massive. It's insane. And then I couldn't stop thinking about the fact that I lost that my body wasn't carrying that extra weight anymore. I'd pick up a 20 kg dumbbell in the gym and I'd think, fair enough, it was dispersed over different locations, but that weight was on my body, that was on my skeleton and my muscles and my legs and all that good stuff. And I'm like, that's, it's quite good that I lost that weight. Since then, I've not really been taking things too seriously in terms of my diet and my exercise and my fitness, and I'm back up to 94, which is fine because, I'm 5'10", I've got the height to kind of get away with it a little bit. But I saw a picture that my girlfriend took of me yesterday of me and my daughter, and I just don't like this midriff at all. I'm trying not to focus too much on it because you shouldn't really focus on weight and it could lead to an unhealthy mindset. I understand that, and it's about fat and muscle and everything else in between. I get that, but I've put on, again, about roughly 10 kg. And that's obviously affecting my day-to-day, which has been brought on by a poor diet, which is also affecting other bits and pieces. And then I'm just running with an extra 10 kg on me that I don't need to have. So I really need to sort that out a little bit more. And that comes with not only upping the exercise, but I really need to get my diet back in check. I'm doing too many different little things here and there. I'm having things that I would consider not healthy, but not unhealthy, but are actually quite unhealthy, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. And then I'm maybe snacking a bit too much, I'm having too many sort of fizzy drinks and everything else in between. So yeah, I'm a bit of a harsh reality check I had at the weekend there, after also doing the 9k run and not being able to run on the 10 or on the Sunday. So yeah, bit of a wall of text that I just spewed at you there. Bit of word vomit, apologies about that, but my point is I really need to get things back in check in terms of my diet, which I know I've brought up time and time again, but actually seeing the hard work that I'd done being undone a little bit, or at least halfway back, it kind of made me think, fuck, that's not great. And apologies, I know this intro is long enough as it is, and we've not even kicked a ball yet in terms of doing runs in this week. So this vlog or this intro might be a little bit longer, and thank you for bearing with me. I do appreciate that. But to give you an example, so when I was doing 75 hard, part of that was doing 2 45-minute exercises per day, or workouts per day, with at least one of them being outside. And I would always, for the most part, when I wasn't in the office, I would do like an hour walk in the morning after dropping my daughter at nursery. Going somewhere and coming back, and then I would do like another run or exercise or gym session at night time after, or when I had time to do it during work. That's kind of fell by the wayside because I think that's just an unrealistic level of commitment to commit to for my lifestyle, which is fine. I'm not expecting to do 2 45-minute workouts per day, but I still try to do the walk every day, every morning when I drop my daughter to work. And in my mind, I'm like, right, okay, I'm out and about, I'm ready, I'm up and ready to go. And I'm walking for like an hour all in, door to door, back, away somewhere and back to work before I start. That's good. That's an hour's worth of exercise before I've even logged in for work in the day. But I've got quite into the habit for my breakfast during that walk, nipping into Sainsbury's, picking up a couple of iced coffees and having a cheese twist. Now, to me, I was thinking, right, I'm doing the walk, I can afford this isn't too bad. But then I actually looked at some of this stuff, and this isn't shade at anything because I love these coffees, I love all different coffees, and it's not just this one, but this one happens to be the cheapest. But I have like 2 or 3 of these a day. And when I look at it, this is what? How big is this? This is 330 mils, and it says per 100 mils, it is roughly about 52 calories. So that's what, 180 calories, roughly, give or take, one of these. 3 of these per day, that's like 500 to 600 calories of not wasted coffee because it's delicious and it's good, but having 3 is far too much. But then you look at the sugar content in it, and it's got 7.9 grams of sugar per 100 mils. So that's like, 25 grams of sugar per one of these, and I'm having 3 of these a day, which sugar is just mad calories as well. So that's insane to me. And then, I don't really know the ins and outs of that. I know some are, they're going to vary, but then I looked just out of, curiosity the other day when I picked up a cheese twist, and it's like, oh, your rough calorie content for this is like 350 calories. Couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. And then I come home and I have orange juice and I have like cereal or granola or whatever it is. So all that stuff in the morning is just wasted, and then it's a waste of money and everything else in between. Now, that's not a slight at Arctic. I think Arctic is fantastic coffee, and if anyone at Arctic's seen this, I'm not having a go at you and your product. I'm having a go at my unhealthy choices and lifestyle and habits. Have it in moderation is my point. But my point is also that I think I'm doing good because I'm going to walk, but then I'm undoing that good work by eating and drinking quite a lot of stuff on that walk that isn't necessarily healthy, and then I'm not really doing anything with that nutrient or exercise or calorie as well. So yeah, quite a lot to think about. So today I thought I'd have one last hurrah, which I know is kind of like, I don't know, a bit silly. But I had my cheese twist and everything else in between. But from now on, I'm not going to buy 2 or 3 of them. I'm not going to buy cheese twists or other pastries in the morning. I'm going to make my own iced coffee at home, which is going to have, little to no calories in it. And then I'm going to go back into like measuring my breakfast. That was one of the things that I loved doing during 75 Hard, measuring my granola or my cereal or my yogurt or my fruits or whatever it was. I need to get back into doing that rather than just pouring a big massive bowl of Cheerios or Cocoa Pops or whatever it is. Anyway, yeah, quite a lot to process there, quite a lot to think about. And then I need to just stop doing silly things like eating, extra biscuits for lunch and everything else. So I need to finally get back into the habit of Huel. I like Huel, and I've got a bag there, which you've seen a couple of times on the channel. I need to get back into my creatine, and I need to just drink more water during the day as well. Just drink tons and tons of water. I was drinking 4 litres a day almost during 75 Hard, which is too much, but at the same time, it kind of filled me up and stuff. So yeah, lots to think about. Again, appreciate this is a super long intro to this week's vlog. It's more of a vent to keep myself accountable. Thank you for bearing with me. I understand. But yeah, reset the running plan, reset the diet, reset the mindset, be a bit more disciplined. 10k is going to be fun more than anything else. Let's move on from the inefficient, undisciplined, poorly habited or poor habits couple of weeks or couple of months that I've had. Soft reset. Thank you for your support and encouragement.
run finished. On average about 6 minutes a kilometre, which is fine. Not too upset by that, not delighted by it either, but I done the run, that's the main thing. I'm happy with it. First one of this week ticked off, and now it's time to go get a matcha as a nice little reward, because it's a hot day, not as hot as last week, but running in this heat is still quite tough for me. But yeah, first run done. Again, feeling good, feeling happy. Could be happier, could be sadder. So yeah, I've really let my fitness down over the past few weeks and months. That's on me. That's the reality that I find myself in now that I'm running, or running again, or training for another run. But lessons learned, and it's only up from here. Starting with a matcha. Listen, I know Blank Street is probably like baseline commercialised matcha. I don't know the first thing about it, but this white chocolate iced matcha is my absolute favourite. Better than any other matcha that I've tried, which isn't a lot, granted. But I don't really find a lot of other places that do white chocolate matcha. Honestly, this is almost perfect. But let me know matcha places. I'm interested. Out for my final run, or I've just finished my final run of the week, which was a 9 kilometre block run, hotspot run, I think that was it. Average pace was like 6 minutes 12 per kilometre, which is about an hour for the 10 all in, which is absolutely fine. I've kind of came to the realisation and made peace this late in the game that I've really messed up my fitness and my stamina and my diet, etc., between the half marathon and now, and that's fine. I'm at peace with that. I don't have any issues with that. My goal now is just to aim roughly around the hour mark and just have a nice time next week running through central London. That's the main thing. It's also 9 PM at night on Sunday. I was going to leave this run till tomorrow, but then I thought, do you know what? Let's just actually complete all the runs that I'm supposed to complete in any given run a plan week, or run a week plan, or whatever you want to call it. So that's what I done. Even though it was still like mid-20s, I think when I came out it was still 28 degrees, but I realised, which might be obvious, the sun is more of a problem than the actual heat. It's actually quite cool now with the breeze and the winds and that good stuff. So yeah, I'm feeling quite happy and positive, and I'm feeling very motivated that I'd done it, which is nice. So yeah, that was a positive run. I enjoyed it. I purposely, consciously, genuinely made sure that I ran a little bit slower. And I was conscious of it every kilometre, so I was aiming for roughly 6 minutes. I did have to stop maybe once or twice, but overall it was fine and it was good. I also feel like I didn't rest my legs enough in between Friday and today, because as soon as I set off I was like, wow, my shins are messed up. So I didn't really, maybe I've been out all day as well, not using it as an excuse. No, my fitness is just poor, but anyway, I had a lovely run, running late at night. So yeah, there we go. I've got one more run between now and the 10k next Sunday, which is a race pace 5 kilometres, I think. But I'll talk about that next week, because this is the end of this week's vlog. I'll do a proper outro tomorrow morning as I'm starting the intro for the final week. But yeah, I just thought I'd check in, let you know that I've done it, and I've had a lovely time doing it, so that's the main thing. 9 kilometres done, feeling contented with myself, and looking forward to next week, because it's going to be a lovely race, even if it is potentially going to be 30 degrees all in. I'll cross that heat bridge when it comes to it. But yeah, run done, feeling good.
So there we have it. We are at the end of the penultimate week of my 10k training plan thing with Runner. And like I kind of briefly mentioned in a previous clip, I was kind of just running on adrenaline and, you know, immediate thoughts after the run. But to kind of sum up, I've come to that understanding, and I've made peace with the fact that, like I mentioned, I've really, you know, not been the top on my fitness, on my stamina, on my diet, and everything else in between since doing the half marathon and training for the half marathon. I've really went downhill and kind of let myself go a little bit, to the point where I'm like, okay, that's fine. You know, I'm not gonna potentially not going to hit my goal of anywhere between 50 and 55 minutes for this 10k on Sunday. If I can get anywhere roughly around about the hour, that's going to be fine. It's going to be another like official run ticked off, another medal on, you know, the wall, if you like. And that's the main goal, to have some fun, have a really nice time and run through central London when it's kind of closed and accessible for, you know, the runners in a more safe environment. So that's going to be fun, and that's going to be the main thing. And then I'll train properly, and I'll keep on my runs. You know, my sort of sub goal in between my whole running journey is not only to get better at running and run everything. I've got really lofty goals, which I'll talk about at some point, but in between then I kind of want to run as many park runs as I can. So I'm going to keep up with the running as much as I possibly can, and then I'll hopefully do another proper big run towards the end of the year. Ideally another half marathon, and then if I actually train for like a good few months in advance, then that should, you know, get me back to kind of where I need to be. And then I can aim for a PB for the half marathon at some point as well. But, you know, I'm feeling positive throughout the entire thing. You know, I've had a really good week. I've done all the runs that I was supposed to do. Granted, they weren't on the days that they were allotted in the plan. But I done it, I ticked it off. I'm really happy that I done the 9k yesterday, and like I mentioned, you know, again, I've only got one run this week for the final week before the actual 10k on Sunday as well. But I'll talk about that in next week's video. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'm on top of my diet a little bit. You know, I'm really putting a focus on my diet now as well, which I've mentioned a couple of times. But I'm on the Huel for lunchtime. I'm really trying to cut out the snacking, and there's going to be like a bit of a transitional period where I am a bit hungry in between meals, just because, you know, I'm used to kind of eating whenever I want to eat. So I'm kind of fighting through that while trying to eat a little bit healthier as well at the same time. Back on the supplements that I need to take, like magnesium and you know, cod liver oil and everything else in between. And I'm going to go back on the creatine as well. So yeah, everything is looking up. It's looking positive, and I'm really excited for the future of, you know, this channel, running, everything else in between. And I found this in the shop yesterday, Deliciously Ella peanut butter oat bar with chunks of roasted peanut. I'm gonna have a little try of this just because I forgot I bought it, and I'm a little bit peckish after my lunch, which was a coffee caramel Huel. It's pretty good. It's what you'd expect for a peanut butter oat bar. Yeah. And in terms of the Huel as well, like I mentioned, I tried it with water before. I thought it was awful. I hated it. So then I moved to semi-skim milk, which isn't too bad, but I didn't realise it was adding like 200 or 300 calories on per meal. So I've kind of went in between, and I'm having half water, so 250 millilitres of water, and then 250 millilitres of oat milk as well, which allows it to maintain the taste and consistency that actually makes it feel like a fulfilling meal, while not being too watery and not very nice for my tastes, if you like. As well, but that bag's kind of coming to the end. There's a nice vanilla matcha, or what I would assume is a nice vanilla matcha flavour that's recently came out, so maybe I'll give that a go. But anyway, all that to say is I've come to terms with where I am, where I was, and kind of have let myself down over the past few months. You know, my diet's on the up, you know, my mindset's on the up, and I'm looking forward to the run next week. And I'm feeling really fulfilled after the penultimate week of the training. So thank you for watching. If you're new here, you're more than welcome to subscribe. You can follow all the links in the description down below if you wish. You know, I've got my my running playlist. I've got my running club on Strava if you want to join that, and anything else that I think you might be interested in, you're more than welcome to check it out. And again, thank you for watching thus far. As usual, let me know down below what you are running for, what you're training for, what your next run or goal or target, whatever it is. I love chatting about running and running goals and everything else in between. And let's get a discussion going, because it's really nice to chat to other people who are striving for running goals, whether they are your first 1k or your first marathon or anywhere else in between or beyond, whatever it is. But yeah, thank you for watching. Next week, the final week, exciting, scary, good times. So there will be a video for that. It will end similarly to the half marathon, just at the beginning of the actual race, and then I'm going to do a video purely on the run as well. So there's going to be 2 more videos for this series, if you like. But we've got 1 more week to go, 1 more run in between, and I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week for the final week of training. Yeah, looking forward to it. See you then.